The 2026 draft landscape is starting to take shape, and what I'm seeing in these early projections has me genuinely excited about where the Chicago Bears could be positioned to make a franchise-altering selection. Welcome to Bears News Fan Report, your destination for the most detailed analysis and freshest updates on our Chicago Bears. Today, I'm breaking down something that every Bears fan needs to understand as we look ahead to next year's draft. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you're going to have a completely different perspective on how this team is building towards sustained success. Before I get into the specific player that could be wearing navy and orange next season, I need you to understand the context of what's happening across the entire league right now. The 2026 draft class is shaping up to be one of those generational years where the talent pool runs deep, especially in certain position groups that historically define championship rosters. We're seeing quarterbacks dominate the top of the board, which is typical, but the real story is how aggressively teams are maneuvering to secure cornerstone pieces at premium positions. This isn't just about finding immediate starters. This is about identifying players who can anchor units for the next decade. Look at what's projected to happen in the top 10. Teams like the Jets are expected to make bold moves to land their franchise quarterback. The Raiders are swinging for the fences again at the position. But here's where it gets interesting for us as Bears fans. Once you get past that initial quarterback frenzy, we're seeing a draft class absolutely loaded with defensive difference makers and offensive line anchors. The kind of players who don't make highlight reels every week, but who fundamentally change what a team can do schematically. Tennessee is projected to take Arvell Reese, a linebacker from Ohio State, who scouts are calling a legitimate tone setter with sideline-to-sideline range. That's the caliber of defensive talent we're talking about in the top 5. But I want to focus your attention on something specific happening in the middle of the first round, because this is where the Bears' strategy becomes crystal clear. Watch how teams are building in the trenches. New Orleans is projected to grab Francis Mauigoa, a massive athletic tackle from Miami who can anchor an offensive line for a decade. Arizona is looking at Spencer Fano from Utah, one of the best tackle prospects in the entire class. Detroit, our division rival who we're chasing right now, is mocked to take Caden Proctor from Alabama, another battle-tested tackle who fits their physical offensive identity perfectly. Are you seeing the pattern here? The teams that are winning consistently in today's NFL are the ones who invest premium draft capital in the trenches, both offensive and defensive. Now here's where we need to talk about the Chicago Bears' current roster construction and how it positions us for next year's draft. We've got Caleb Williams developing into everything we hoped he would be when we selected him. We've added weapons around him. The offensive infrastructure is coming together nicely. But when I watch Bears games, and I know you see this too, there are moments where we need more consistent pressure on opposing quarterbacks. We need that edge presence that can collapse pockets and force quarterbacks into uncomfortable situations. The best defenses in this league have multiple players who can win one-on-one matchups up front, and that's an area where we can still improve significantly. So let me walk you through how this draft could unfold and where the Bears fit into this equation. After the quarterback-needy teams make their selections, we're going to see a run on elite defenders. Washington is projected to take Ruben Bain Jr. from Miami, a powerful edge defender who can wreck game plans. Cincinnati is looking at David Bailey from Texas Tech, another disruptive edge with a relentless motor. Miami is in the mix for Keldrick Falk from Auburn. The common thread here is that contending teams understand the value of disrupting opposing offenses, and they're willing to use first-round capital to acquire those disruptors. The Rams are projected to grab Caleb Downs from Ohio State, an elite safety who can play multiple roles. Kansas City, even with Patrick Mahomes, is looking to add Jeremiah Love from Notre Dame to give themselves another explosive weapon. These are teams that are already good, already have their franchise quarterbacks, and they're using the draft to add specific pieces that address remaining needs. That's exactly where the Bears are as an organization right now. We're past the foundational rebuild stage. We're in the phase where every pick needs to be about optimizing what we already have and pushing us closer to championship contention. And this brings me to pick number 25, where the Bears are currently projected to select in this mock draft. The player that keeps showing up in these projections for Chicago is Romello Height from Texas Tech. Now, before I dive into who he is and what he brings, I want you to understand why this selection makes so much sense strategically. Height is an edge rusher with legitimate length and developmental upside. At 6'5", he has the frame and athletic profile that defensive coordinators dream about. He's not the finished product yet, which is why he's available at 25, but the physical tools are undeniable. What excites me about Height as a prospect is his combination of size and flexibility. In today's NFL, edge rushers need to be able to win with speed around the corner, but they also need the power to set the edge against the run and collapse pockets when quarterbacks step up. Height has shown flashes of both during his time at Texas Tech. His film shows a player who understands leverage, who can bend around tackles when he gets them off balance, and who has the motor to chase plays from the backside. Those are teachable traits, but you can't teach his length or his natural athleticism. Here's what I see when I project Height into the Bears' defensive scheme. We need players who can rotate fresh into the game and maintain pressure throughout 4 quarters. We need developmental pieces who can learn from veterans and grow into significant roles over their first 2 seasons. Height fits that profile perfectly. He's not going to come in and immediately record double-digit sacks as a rookie. That's not realistic for most edge rushers. But by year 2, with proper coaching and an NFL strength and conditioning program, he has legitimate Pro Bowl upside. That's the kind of projection that makes a first-round pick valuable. Let me give you some context about what other teams are doing at similar positions in the draft. Carolina is projected to take Cassius Howell from Texas A&M at pick 16, another high-motor edge who thrives attacking quarterbacks. Dallas is doubling down on pass rush by taking T.J. Parker from Clemson later in the first round. These are teams that recognize the premium value of disrupting opposing offenses, and they're allocating resources accordingly. The Bears taking Height at 25 would be right in line with how successful franchises are building their rosters. But let's also talk about the players who will be available if the Bears decide to go in a different direction. There will be talented offensive linemen still on the board. There will be cornerbacks with starting potential. The beauty of picking at 25 is that you're getting legitimate first-round talent without the pressure of needing an immediate superstar. You can afford to take a player with upside and develop him properly. That's a luxury that teams picking in the top 10 don't always have. I also want to address something that I know is on everyone's mind. How does this pick affect our ability to compete in the NFC North next season? Detroit is building an absolute juggernaut, and we saw in this mock that they're projected to add another elite offensive lineman. Green Bay is going to continue adding pieces around Jordan Love. Minnesota is investing in their secondary. The division is getting more competitive every single year, and we need to match that intensity with our own roster improvements. Adding an edge rusher with Height's profile gives us another weapon to deploy against Aaron Jones, against Justin Jefferson, against all the explosive offensive players we face twice a year within our division. The timeline for success also matters here. Caleb Williams is on his rookie contract for the next few years, which gives us a window to build around him before his salary demands eat up significant cap space. Every pick we make in these next 2 drafts needs to be about maximizing that window. Height represents exactly that kind of value proposition. He's young, he's on a rookie deal, and if he develops the way scouts project, we'll have a legitimate edge rusher locked up for 5 years at below market value. Now, I want to be clear about something. Mock drafts are projections, not guarantees. A lot can change between now and April. Players' stock rises and falls based on their performance, on pre-draft workouts, on medical evaluations, on team interviews. Height could go earlier than 25 if he has a monster pro day. He could slide if other players emerge. But the principle remains the same. The Bears need to continue adding defensive playmakers who can elevate the unit as a whole, and Height represents the kind of player who fits that description. So here's my question for you, Bears faithful. How do you feel about the Bears potentially selecting an edge rusher in the first round next year? Do you think Height is the right player at pick 25, or would you prefer we address a different position? What positions do you see as the biggest remaining needs as we head into the offseason? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because I genuinely want to hear how you're evaluating this roster and what moves you think would push us closer to championship contention. As we wrap this up, remember that every great team in NFL history was built through a combination of smart drafting and strategic veteran additions. The Bears are positioning themselves to compete at the highest level, and selections like Height represent the kind of calculated risk-taking that can pay massive dividends down the road. I'm optimistic about where this organization is headed, and I'm excited to continue tracking these prospects as we get closer to draft day. Make sure you subscribe to Bears News Fan Report if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update on your Chicago Bears. We're bringing you the most comprehensive draft analysis, roster breakdowns, and insider information you'll find anywhere. Share this video with your fellow Bears fans because these conversations are what make our community special. Until next time, bear down, and let's keep building towards something special.